A memo has surfaced, and it's shaking the roots of Living Faith Church. It began like any other church communication, a typed memo, dated June 2, 2025, circulated internally within the pastoral ranks of Living Faith Church, known globally as Winners Chapel. But its contents are now at the center of a spiritual storm, causing many to raise questions that have been lingering beneath the surface for months. To fully understand this unfolding drama, one must first understand the giants involved. Bishop David Oyedepo is more than just a preacher. He is a patriarch, a father of faith, the founder and presiding bishop of Living Faith Church worldwide, one of the largest Pentecostal networks on earth. With over 20,000 churches globally, multiple universities, and millions of followers, Oyedepo's legacy is etched into modern Christian history. But behind every great general is a loyal deputy, and for over 3 decades, that deputy was Bishop David Abioye. Known for his calm demeanor, deep spiritual insight, and unwavering humility, Abioye served as the vice president of Living Faith Church and the resident bishop of Goshen, the Abuja headquarters of the church. To many, he was not only Oyedepo's right-hand man but also his spiritual shadow, always present, always supportive, always building. But things have changed. In October 2024, Bishop Abioye retired quietly from his position during Bishop Oyedepo's 70th birthday celebration. At the time, it was chalked up to church policy. Winners Chapel has a well-known age-based retirement structure. However, what followed after that event shocked many.
On this final note, and to the glory of God, this assembly, with the name Living Word Conquerors Global Assembly.
Bishop Abioye refused the church's offer for elongation of service, declined to attend Shiloh 2024, Winners' most significant annual event, and vanished from public ministry for months. Until suddenly, he reappeared, not as a bishop under Oyedepo, but as a founder of a new movement, Living Word Conquerors Global Assembly. Now, weeks after Abioye began hosting public programs and conferences, a memo from the Winners HQ seems to suggest that pastors should stay away, unless they have explicit clearance from the top. It's never been officially stated, but the implications are loud. Could this be an unspoken rivalry between father and son? Loyalty and liberty? Or just an institutional move to preserve focus? Let's begin by looking at the man whose quiet exit has now shaken the system. Who is Bishop Abioye? If Bishop Oyedepo is the face of Winners Chapel, then Bishop David Abioye was the soul behind the scenes. His story within the Living Faith Church began in the early foundational years, long before the cathedrals, before Covenant University, before Faith Tabernacle even existed. From rural outreaches to city crusades, from sweaty church plants to quiet mentorship of younger ministers, Bishop Abioye was a builder, a loyal soldier, a man who laid bricks of sacrifice and cemented them with faithfulness. Stationed at Goshen in Abuja, he oversaw one of the largest and fastest growing branches in the Winners network. His humility and consistency earned him the trust of both the leadership and the laity. So when his retirement was announced during Bishop Oyedepo's 70th birthday in October 2024, many assumed it was a formality. After all, church policies require pastors and bishops above a certain age to step aside, but there was always the option of requesting elongation of service. Other bishops reportedly applied, but Abioye did not. He quietly exited the scene. He did not attend Shiloh 2024, an event he had never missed. He stopped appearing on church broadcasts. He went silent, seeking God, many said. Others wondered if the silence meant something more. Then came the announcement that would shock many of his followers. In May 2025, Bishop Abioye officially launched a new ministry, Living Word Conquerors Global Assembly. With no controversy, no online drama, no media war, just a clear, intentional move. What made it more striking was that the new ministry retained the core values of Winners Chapel: word-based teaching, prophetic declarations, aggressive evangelism, and kingdom prosperity doctrine. The logo may have changed, the name may have evolved, but the anointing, the style, the format, and even the church lingo were familiar. And this is where the alarm bells started ringing. Because Abioye's new platform was not just drawing new believers, it was also attracting former Winners members. That is, until a memo was released. The memo, what it says, dated June 2, 2025, and signed by Pastor Adebisi O. Abolawade, the memo was issued from the church's national office. The title, Memo on Church Programs. What began as an internal pastoral guideline has now become a viral topic on Christian social media and religious blogs across Nigeria. Let's break down the key elements of the memo. Key directives in the memo. 1. All pastors are to prioritize living faith church services and programs above all others. This means no church program, even one led by former associates, should clash with Winners' calendar. Loyalty to the mother ministry comes first. 2. Programs organized by sons or daughters of the prophet, affiliate ministries, or former retired pastors are considered secondary. While not directly naming Bishop Abioye, this clause appears to cover his new ministry and any other ex-Winners leaders who have launched personal platforms. 3. Any intention to attend such external meetings must be cleared by headquarters. This includes retreats, conferences, worship services, or leadership meetings hosted by former bishops like Abioye. 4. The stated goal is to avoid loss of focus and compromise and to ensure pastors nurture their local flocks effectively. In simpler terms, no distractions, no divided attention, no cross-pollination that might weaken institutional loyalty. On the surface, this is a protective measure, standard church protocol. But to those who understand the timing, wording, and subtext, this appears to be a subtle clampdown on any unofficial admiration or support for Bishop Abioye's new ministry. Though Abioye is not mentioned by name, it is clear to insiders that he is the primary reference point. The memo was released barely 1 month after Abioye's official church launch. It was circulated after photos surfaced online of some Winners pastors allegedly attending or streaming Abioye's leadership summit. And it comes after Abioye began trending, with some church members hailing his calm departure and spiritual maturity. The memo, therefore, is being interpreted as a formal boundary line, a message from Bishop Oyedepo's office to ensure pastors do not get emotionally or spiritually swayed. Some church watchers have called it a wise move, an effort to protect the integrity of the system and prevent internal confusion. Others see it as a silent battle of influence, wrapped in protocol. Could it be that Winners' leadership fears a slow migration of loyalty? Could Bishop Abioye's legacy, and now his freedom, pose a threat to the transition plans involving Oyedepo's biological son, David Oyedepo Jr.? These are questions no one is answering directly, but many are asking in hushed tones. This memo may have been signed by an administrator, but it carries the weight of an apostolic father speaking through structure. And it sends a strong message. You can be a son, a friend, or a former general, but if you're outside the current structure, access must be regulated. Interpreting the directive. When the June 2, 2025 memo from Winners Chapel HQ surfaced, its tone was subtle, but its implications loud. No name was mentioned, yet all roads pointed to Bishop David Abioye. So what does this directive really mean? On one hand, it could be interpreted as a call for spiritual order. It reminds pastors to stay focused on their core assignments. It warns against distractions, against divided loyalty, and against getting entangled in programs outside their primary calling. After all, every large organization needs structure, especially when thousands of pastors operate under one vision. But on the other hand, it could also be seen as a silent restriction, a coded message aimed at anyone who might still feel emotionally drawn to Bishop Abioye and his new movement. Let's examine a few specific lines from the memo. Church services and programs take priority over any program organized by sons or daughters of the prophet or any other affiliate ministries. Here, the memo subtly discredits programs hosted by retired, resigned, or even affiliated pastors by calling them secondary. And while that might sound like a harmless reminder, the timing of this statement, just weeks after Abioye's ministry launch, raises concern. What does it say about the church's current institutional posture towards someone who served it for over 3 decades? It also introduces a new chain of command. Winners pastors must now seek approval from headquarters before attending meetings organized by former senior ministers, whether they are labeled as sons, daughters, or affiliates. This raises a key question. Is this a protection of the flock, or a form of gatekeeping influence? From a leadership standpoint, one could argue that Bishop Oyedepo is simply doing what any general would do: fortify the base, keep the ranks in line, and prevent internal division. But from the lens of emotional connection and spiritual legacy, it paints another picture. A leader who served faithfully for decades is now being restricted. His meetings are being downgraded to secondary status. And pastors who might admire or support him must now get permission to honor him. That's not just protocol, that feels personal. Now let's turn our attention to the public reaction. Across social media platforms, especially in Nigeria's Christian digital space, the reactions were split. Some pastors and members came out to defend the memo. They argued, every church must guard its doctrine. Discipline and order are vital for growth. Loyalty to your current assignment should be stronger than past affiliations. To them, this was simply a wise administrative decision to avoid confusion among pastors and congregants. But on the flip side, a significant number of people saw the memo as a silent shot at Abioye. They said, "Why now, after Abioye's church launch? Why stress permission, unless you're afraid pastors might shift?" This isn't just protocol, it's panic. And perhaps the most piercing question of all, if there's truly no issue between Bishop Oyedepo and Bishop Abioye, then why this memo? Why now? Possible implications. The directive, whether spiritual or strategic, comes with ripple effects, and those ripples are already creating waves. 4 pastors within Winners Chapel. The first group affected are the local pastors. Many of them were raised under both Bishop Oyedepo and Bishop Abioye. They've attended his trainings, read his books, sat under his mentorship. Some even entered ministry through his personal recommendations. Now they face a dilemma. Do they honor the father figure who helped shape their ministry, or do they obey the structure currently feeding them? Do they attend his leadership summit in secret, or do they watch from afar with silent admiration? This memo may force some pastors into a state of quiet loyalty confusion, a tension between spiritual memory and institutional mandate. 4 church members. The laity, regular members, are also watching closely. Many of them have deep affection for Bishop Abioye. His messages shape their marriages, businesses, and personal walk with God. Now they are hearing that their church leadership discourages interaction with him. That could lead to quiet exits. Not necessarily dramatic walkouts, but subtle transitions. Let me worship with Abioye's church just once. Let me catch the live stream again. Maybe this is where God wants me now. These are realignment whispers, small shifts that, over time, can cause massive movement. And for a global network like Winners Chapel, even a 5% migration could mean thousands of families leaving. 4 Bishop Oyedepo's legacy. Now we reach the most sensitive point. The legacy of Bishop David Abioye is undisputed. His impact is eternal. His voice has shaped faith culture in Africa and beyond. But as every leader ages, the question of succession and transition becomes unavoidable. Many believe that Oyedepo's biological son, David Oyedepo Jr., is being groomed as the next general. But Abioye's exit, and now his fast-growing influence, could unintentionally create a contrast in loyalty. Members and even pastors may begin to ask, do I follow the lineage or the legacy? Do I remain under the name or under the voice I've known for years? In trying to contain potential division, this memo might end up magnifying it, because control can sometimes trigger curiosity, and curiosity leads to exploration. Ironically, what was meant to limit Abioye's influence might now fuel it further. A silent rift or a strategic move? Let's ask the hard questions now. For months, the narrative has been this. There's no problem between Bishop Oyedepo and Bishop Abioye. The retirement was peaceful. The exit was honorable. But this memo challenges that assumption. It is structured, official, and cautious in language. But emotionally, it's loud. There's no open accusation, but the content implies. Abioye is now seen as outside the system. His gatherings could cause distraction, and pastors must be prevented from shifting allegiance. Now let's contrast this with previous public appearances. When Abioye retired, he never said a negative word about Winners Chapel. He never accused the leadership. He didn't publish any book or grant any interview that attacked his spiritual father. In fact, when launching his new church, he kept a humble tone, focused on the future, and avoided comparison. So why the restriction now? Some insiders believe it could be the growing size of Abioye's gatherings. His leadership summit reportedly pulled thousands in its first edition. His teachings are trending again online, with testimonies pouring in from across Nigeria. Could it be that the memo is a preemptive defense mechanism? A way to say, we won't attack you, but we'll protect our system from potential erosion. Or is this simply a wise move, a standard spiritual fence to prevent chaos? As ministry transitions unfold, it's not uncommon for founders to establish boundaries. Sometimes it's done quietly, other times, through public letters like this one. Still, the question remains, is this spiritual protocol, or spiritual paranoia? Is this covering, or controlling? Is this a father protecting his house, or a leader preparing for competition? Either way, the silence from both camps is deafening. No official clarification. No public denial. Just a rising tension in the hearts of thousands who watched these two generals build together for decades. We are left to interpret the signs. And for those of us who see beyond memos, it's clear. Something is shifting. And it's not just paper. It's power. We've journeyed through a story filled with deep roots, unexpected turns, and controversial implications. It began with a moment of honor and transition, when Bishop David Abioye, the long-serving vice president of Living Faith Church, officially retired in October 2024, during Bishop Oyedepo's 70th birthday celebration. Many thought it would be a peaceful exit into the background. But what followed, no one truly expected. Just 6 months later, Abioye quietly launched a new ministry, Living Word Conquerors Global Assembly. It wasn't noisy. There were no bitter interviews, no accusations, just a clean, calm shift. And yet, it stirred the atmosphere. Then came the June 2, 2025 memo, a structured, carefully worded directive from Winners Chapel headquarters. It didn't mention Abioye by name, but its meaning was unmistakable. Church programs take precedence. Clearance is now required before pastors can attend any external program organized by sons or daughters of the prophet, or former, retired, or disengaged pastors. In plain language, don't attend Abioye's programs without permission. So now, we have a three-layered development. First, the retirement of a trusted general. Then, the launch of a fast-growing new ministry. And finally, an institutional restriction to limit involvement with him. This naturally raises tough, even painful, questions. Is this control or caution? Is it leadership wisdom? Or a quiet war of succession? Is this a move to protect order? Or an act that reveals deeper cracks within? As followers of Christ, we must resist the temptation to draw conclusions too quickly. This is not about taking sides. It's about discerning times and seasons. Because while men move with strategies, God moves with purpose. Perhaps this is a moment for the church to revisit some difficult realities. That even the most fruitful relationships may have expiration dates. That transitions can be both God-ordained and man-regulated. And that sometimes, what looks like separation is simply God's way of expanding his kingdom through different vessels. Let's not forget that the body of Christ is bigger than any denomination, any bishop, or any church name. What matters is that souls are saved, truth is preached, and God remains glorified. But in the midst of these realities, the emotions are still raw for many. There are pastors who feel torn between past loyalty and current leadership. There are members who feel caught in a loyalty tug-of-war between the father they knew and the platform they now attend. There are young ministers watching, wondering, is this what ministry looks like after 30 years of service? And so, as we end this video, I invite you to reflect deeply, not with bias, but with boldness. Ask yourself, should pastors be allowed to honor their spiritual roots, even after moving on? Is restricting access to a former leader a way of preserving unity, or preventing influence? Can two great leaders walk separate paths without walking into rivalry? These are questions that won't be answered overnight, but they must be asked. Because in the end, truth doesn't need a microphone, it just needs time. Call to action. Let's bring this conversation to the global table. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this memo necessary or unnecessary? Should pastors be allowed to visit and honor Bishop Abioye freely? Do you see this as wisdom, control, or something deeper? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it blessed you. Let's keep praying for our leaders, because spiritual fathers and faithful sons are both treasures to the kingdom. Whether under Oyedepo, Abioye, or any other servant of God, may we all remain faithful to the one true shepherd, Jesus Christ. Until next time, stay discerning, stay honoring, stay kingdom-minded.